joining us today is going to be Assistant Chief Victor Sarur. Chief,
Hello.
thanks for taking time out and joining us again here on the second meeting. And our commander from the Pebble Hills Regional Command, Commander Frank Briones. Commander, thanks for taking time out and joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Before we get started, though, I'm just going to go over a couple of basic reminders there to those that are viewing our presentation today. And a couple of these reminders is that, one, it's important just to remember to focus your questions on the Pebble Hills area or east side of town. The other thing is, participants, please make sure that we're encouraging you to show respect towards one another also on your questions. And of course, the last and most important thing as well is please raise your hand when you are going to have a question. The questions are going to be taken towards the end, so we're going to be giving a basic presentation and overview on the ordinance. Once we do that, then we're going to go ahead and take some questions. So if you do have a question, raise your hand. Once you are brought up there for the question, you're going to have to unmute yourself. So just remember that. And if there is a multiple part type question or you have an additional question, you'll have to go ahead and do that once again. So just some of those quick reminders. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. Also, important reminder, we also do have an officer from the Pebble Hills area that's going to be joining us, giving us their perspective there as far as from the patrol aspect. And Chief, so we're talking about a new ordinance which is specific to convenience stores.
Correct. Yes, sir. So basically, we're referring to it as the convenience store ordinance, and in reality, Javier, it's a crime prevention ordinance. Basically, the purpose of the convenience store ordinance is to reduce or actually assist in regards to the safety and welfare of citizens, not just the customers at the convenience stores, but also the employees. The purpose of it is to also prevent crime, prevent the escalation of crime, and also assist with the prosecution of cases.
Now, Chief, one interesting thing, and I know we talked a little bit about it, and some of those of you that are joining us, if you joined us yesterday, you might hear a little bit of some of the similar information. But of course, in each of these presentations, there's going to also be additional information or some little different aspect on it. But Chief, one of the interesting things that we had mentioned is there's a specific definition to the businesses that are affected on this proposed ordinance, correct?
Yes, that is correct. So basically, what we started at is evaluating we're data-driven. So we looked at the data first, and we found that in the city of El Paso, in the previous 3 years, we had over 5,777 beer runs. Now, a beer run in El Paso, the way it's referred to is property taken from a convenience store, alcohol-related, under the value of $100. So we looked at that and we started evaluating the permits that are out there. And throughout the El Paso area, we found roughly about 600 off-premise permits. So we decided to look at the data a little closer, and we found that 5,378 of the beer runs were specific to convenience stores that sell fuel gasoline. So our data looked at that, and that identified roughly 197 stores. So the definition is going to carry, in regards to this ordinance, specific to this ordinance, but also the sale of gasoline. And that accounted for a majority of the beer runs. So when you look at the totality of the beer runs, which are larcenies under the definition of the state, it accounts roughly for about 21% of the crime rate related to larcenies each year.
And so again, the important thing here too is that the ordinance is not necessarily to any business that sells alcohol, but specific to those convenience stores that also sell fuel.
That is correct.
And so that's what this applies
and the
to.
definition specific for this ordinance in regards to that. And one of the reasons that we found, and our data research showed this, is they're high volume, high traffic stores, and usually individuals will look at the store before committing the offense, wait for the vehicles to be gone or the clientele that walked in gone, and case the area, so to speak. They may park on the side of the building or behind the building. So when you think of a beer run, some may imagine individuals just running and continuously running, but it's out the store and into a vehicle. And that's why we found that the data really represented those 197 stores.
And Chief, you mentioned, of course, larcenies there, which is what the beer runs count as far as the UCR type of statistics.
Yes,
so
sir.
larceny is a theft. Now, the one thing about these thefts, so of course, this affects the crime rate for our city, correct?
Oh, yes, whether it's going to be UCR, which is the Uniform Crime Report, or NIBRS. Each offense counts for 1 point against you in crime. So it definitely carries some weight, and sometimes the value on the theft can be as low as $2.75, but it's still going to represent a crime in the area.
Well, sounds like real important information. I know there's several topics we're going to cover, Chief,
Yes.
but Commander, one of the important things too. Now, Pebble Hills, sir, you're responsible for one of the largest regions in the city.
Correct, Javier. It's actually the largest area in the city in regards to services. Our area is approximately 62 square miles, and we serve 1/3 of the population of the city of El Paso, approximately.
Now, with that being said, one of the larger areas. So, as far as the calls that you have, that's also a huge responsibility for Pebble Hills.
Yes, it is. On average, we average between 39 to 4,100 calls per service per month. So our officers are busy day in and day out, trying to provide the best service as possible.
Now, one thing too, that we've discussed a little bit regarding the beer thefts or the beer runs, that is something that requires time to investigate. Even though I think a lot of times people might think, well, it's just a beer run, or just think of it as something minor. But this is a crime. This is a crime. This is a theft that takes time to look into and to solve.
Correct, Javier. It's a crime. It's definitely a crime that we do investigate and we need to investigate. Usually these thefts lead to something else in regards to a crime. It starts as a theft and it could end up into something more serious. On average, a detective takes 3 hours and 34 minutes, more or less on average, to investigate a crime like that. So it is time consuming, and we have to investigate and respond to those type of calls.
Now, you were saying, Commander, of course, these type of calls can lead to something else. So I know we've seen many times where somebody goes to commit a theft, and that theft escalates to an aggravated robbery or some other more serious crime. We've even had, of course, homicides in the
Correct.
past. Now, let's talk a little bit now on some of these type of incidents. Do we also see an effect there with juveniles or underage drinking?
Yes, unfortunately, some of the thefts that are being committed, specifically the beer runs, are committed by juveniles, underage, people underage. It could be anywhere under the age of 21 or even younger. And unfortunately, that leads to other problems. I can tell you when I was back in working at the Mission Valley as a patrol officer that we would go to houses, underage drinking parties going on, and a lot of that beer that was at those parties was taken from beer runs. And again, along those lines come the aggravated assaults, the fights between the juveniles, and drinking and driving, which could lead to fatalities, which we want to prevent all that. We want to protect our youth and want to protect the citizens in general.
That's real important information.
Yes.
And Chief, we were talking, of course, about there's different parts to this ordinance. So one of the important parts is surveillance cameras. So tell us a little bit about what that means, sir.
Yes, and along the line of what Commander Briones was talking about, the ordinance is looking at requiring 3 surveillance cameras at each location. Basically, you would have one for the entrance, a second one over the cash register, and the third one out in the parking lot. And to chime in on what Commander Briones was talking about, these events can and often do lead to other offenses. Back in July, we had an individual who committed a beer run on North Mesa. It led to a burglary of vehicle, led to another burglary of business, and ultimately being involved in a crash and being arrested also for driving intoxicated. So it's important that these surveillance cameras provide the officers with the tools to be efficient and address it in an immediate fashion before it escalates. And it also helps with prosecution because under the state of Texas, once you've been convicted on a Class C theft and it's a conviction, the next one can be enhanced to a Class B. And the one after that, a felony. So it's important that we have the evidence we need for our court cases and prosecution.
Oh, no, it makes a lot of sense. Now, one of the other things that was mentioned on there, Commander, was alarm systems. Are you able to tell us a little bit about that aspect?
Yes, it's very important. It's a very important part of the ordinance in regards to alarm systems. We want to make sure that the clerks, the people working in the stores, are safe first and foremost. A lot of times they work throughout the night by themselves, so they have to be able to have something accessible to let us notify us if a problem is occurring without the individual that's committing the crime knowing. So usually underneath the counter where they could press the button and let us know there's a problem so that we could respond in a timely manner and hopefully prevent the things from escalating.
So that's important. So part of what this ordinance is requiring is for them to have a certain type of panic button
Yes,
there on
correct.
the alarm
Yes.
for these businesses.
Correct.
Now, Chief, you were also mentioning there's an issue, or not an issue rather, but one of the topics or one of the requirements is going to be some type of safe.
Yeah, so basically what the ordinance is, we're looking at the edit of the ordinance, and that's why we're having these meetings to gather the input, not just from the community, whether it's pro or negative, but also from the business community. These meetings are open to both groups. We've been meeting with them, and there's future meetings. So basically, with the safes, drop safe, these safes are to be bolted to the ground, and it also allows for the employee to make deposits. Along with this comes signage that the cash available is limited. One of the things we know when individuals get into criminal sprees, they're wanting to target a location where there's going to be a big return. And basically what this does is lets them know it's minimized and there's no alternative for the employee to take additional money out.
No, makes a lot of sense. And just a reminder to those of you that are joining us, we are going to be taking some questions, but we are going to be taking questions after we go over the elements of the ordinance. So do be patient there with us. As a reminder, raise your hand if you are going to have a question. Once we do call on you, you are going to have to unmute yourself. And as a reminder, what we are talking about today is a proposed city ordinance, and particularly today we're talking about the businesses and residents in the Pebble Hills or east side of town. And on that now, Commander, we were talking a little bit about, I know the Chief was telling us a little bit about some of the signs, but I know one of the topics involved on this is also going to be some type of training for employees of the convenience stores.
Yes, I think the training component in the ordinance is very important, and is to provide training to the employees of the store. We want to make sure first and foremost that they know what a crime is, they know what a theft is, and the most important thing is that we want them to be the best witness possible. Mm-hmm. We don't want them to get involved in any situation that could bring harm to them or to other people in the store, and all that will be part of the training that we will provide to the employees to make sure that they understand what we're looking for.
Makes a lot of sense. And Chief, one of the topics included on there was something about trespass affidavits. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, no problem, Javier. Basically, when we look at efficiency and our officers on the field, as you know, we're limited in our resources as the city continues to grow. So one of the things we have found, and when the officers are on patrol, you may have a situation where an individual has been given a warning in regards to criminal trespass. The officers are there, but we also need to make contact with the individual in control of the business, whether it be a manager, owner, or district manager, the individual that has the right to say, yes, we will prosecute. At 3 a.m, it's not in our favor. We spend numerous hours trying to track down these individuals. So what we want to have is the prosecution for the affidavit on trespass on file, so we could be more efficient in regards to making the arrest.
And I guess that's one of the important things about what this ordinance is doing. It's talking a little bit about safety things there for the employees, of course, the visitors, the customers to the stores, and also helping and assisting us in law enforcement being able to investigate the crimes that could happen at these stores. Now, one other aspect about it there, Chief, was regarding securing certain merchandise.
Yes. So basically what we have found on the beer runs, individuals walk into the store and take merchandise. We're looking at this ordinance to secure the merchandise, particularly when it's non-sale hours. In the state of Texas, we found that within El Paso, 38% of our beer runs occur when alcohol is not to be sold. So we want the merchandise covered or secured, or if it's a cooler with locks, locked, to prevent the theft. One of the things I could tell you about crime, you think of it as a triangle where you have a location, the offender, and the opportunity. So obviously you're not going to change the location, and also if you take away the opportunity and the offender does not know what's there, what they're targeting, or they're empty cases for display, that's fine, but it takes away the opportunity for an individual to commit that crime. And again, it speaks of the safety. You go into the store, someone's committing a theft, and you get pushed, it becomes a robbery. If you get seriously injured, an aggravated robbery. So there's a big investment here to keep everyone protected, including the employees.
That's real good information. And Commander, one of the other things, and I remember this from when I was also, of course, out in the field. But I guess an important thing is visibility.
It's very, very important. We want to make sure that our offices are busy, especially on the east side, on calls for service every single night, specifically on the weekends. We want to make sure that our officers are able to pass in front of a store and be able to look inside the store to make sure that there's no issue going on, that the clerk could see us and we could see them, and they could wave us off or call us if they need us. Same thing for the clerks. We want to make sure that they're able to see outside without any obstruction on the door, the windows, to see if there's any issues that they might look suspicious to them, and call us before the incident even develops. So the obstruction of windows we want to remove so that the officers and the clerks have access to both inside and outside.
Makes a lot of sense, Commander. And Chief, we were talking a little bit that part of what we're doing today is also getting the perspective from a patrol officer. And so we do have an officer that's going to be joining us today, Officer Pamela Smith, and she's, of course, assigned to the Pebble Hills Regional Command. And Pam, thanks for taking time out and joining us. I know you're pretty busy, but as far as from the patrol side and the field side, what does this ordinance mean to the patrol officer?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I actually, I'm very excited about this ordinance. I've had an opportunity to work on this project, and what I really like about this ordinance is that it actually covers all the elements necessary that are going to facilitate a clear pathway from the time of the offense to prosecution. And it's going to help the patrol officer. Time is of the essence when these thefts occur. And again, I do want to touch that it's not exclusive to thefts. This is crime prevention. And so a lot of times it may be a crime that was previously committed, and then it also includes a theft, or there may be a subsequent crime afterwards. And if these crimes are reported in a timely manner and we get the right information, so it's time and communication. If they are reported in a timely manner and we get the information that we need, the details of the crime, the right descriptors, and having access to video surveillance, images that we can distribute, if those things are available to the initial responding officers, it can very well lead to apprehension of these offenders at the time of the offense rather than much later, and that's where the hours of investigating. So I believe that that's where also the training aspect. If we train our employees and we cut some of that ambiguity, then they're aware of how we respond and why we respond the way we do, then they can communicate the right information as to exactly what it is that has occurred and what type of response that they need from officers.
Well, it makes a lot of sense because obviously the information is key for the safety of the officers, and also so that we can have the adequate responses you were saying, knowing what it is. And obviously we won't know until we get there, but at least have a better idea of what it is that we could be facing when we're going out there, or the type of crime that is occurring. The commander was telling us, of course, a little bit about the visibility. Now, I remember some of the things that I would see there when I was out in the field. So tell us, how important is visibility as a patrol officer?
It's actually very important because we don't have the luxury of stopping at every store and checking on each and every clerk as much as I would like to. We value these stores, especially during the late night hours, because for patrol officers, officers, they can be a hot cup of coffee, a restroom break, a safe haven for us to catch up on paperwork that we might have to catch up on. And so we need them to be safe, but we also want the El Paso community to value them as much as we do. If it's a well-lit, clearly, if we can visibly see into the store, we want our community to value them at 2 a.m. as much as they do at 8 o'clock in the morning. If I can drive by and I can see that the store is well lit, if I can see inside and see the clerk and know that I don't necessarily have to stop, that everything looks okay, or they do have an opportunity to flag us down, then that's already, that's a major crime prevention aspect.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And Pam, anything else that you think is important that we need to that you would like to address regarding this ordinance?
Also, I think that when we educate our employees and we give them an opportunity to learn exactly what constitutes a crime, some of the basic aspects, we want them to feel safe, and we want it to be this ordinance is going to foster a safe working environment, and that's more than anything. We want them to feel safe. We want to know that it's going to build a relationship between the law enforcement community and the business community.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for taking time out and talking on those topics. And Chief, when we were talking regarding, of course, this ordinance, we've been already meeting, of course, with many of the businesses. So what's been their perspective of what we've learned so far from the businesses?
Yeah, so we during the course of gathering data now, and we've also been looking at the businesses to see exactly what they have in place, because I want to make clear that the El Paso Police Department is not looking to stop responding to these type of thefts. That's not the objective here. The objective is the safety of our community and everyone involved. So we've been discussing them with them. We had 2 meetings last week. They've been invited to the meetings. They have been receptive of it because they also have an interest in their employees and such. And I really think this speaks volumes, because when you talk about the cameras and the offenses that occur, Commander Bidones gave you the example that it's just not that initial theft. If juveniles cannot buy alcohol, what are they going to do? They're going to walk into the store and run out with it. So it leads to other events, other offenses, those parties, other fights. We know that it leads to driving incidents. And like it was said earlier, we have a problem with fatalities. Our goal is to get to 0 on fatalities. 1 is one too many. And I think under this path with crime prevention, we can lead to a better way of taking care of our community.
Makes a lot of sense there, Chief. And I think we're gonna go ahead and try to see if we have any questions there from the community that we might be able to answer. Remember, raise your hand if you do have a question. Also, take a moment. It's going to take a moment for you're going to have to unmute yourself so we can go ahead and hear your question, and we'll respond to it. Also, just a quick reminder for those of you that may necessarily not want to ask a question at this moment. Definitely, you can send us an email at askpd@elpasotexas.gov. That's askpd@elpasotexas.gov, and we'll be able to give you some information. Part of the reminder as well is this is the second community meeting that we're having today, focusing on the Pebble Hills or east side of town. There is going to be, of course, 3 additional meetings that we're having. As a matter of fact, tomorrow we're going to have another one at the same time. That one is going to be focusing with the West Side Regional Command,
Yes,
correct?
sir.
And then the following week on Tuesday, we're going to be meeting with the Central, and then we're going to be ending the following Wednesday with the Mission Valley area. And so definitely you can all come and join us and listen a little bit about what is going on. And we do actually have a question that came in, and so the question is, as far as is there a time frame? Is there a registration period as far as this new ordinance, and when are we planning to roll out this new ordinance?
Good question. So one of the things we've done with the police department internally, we created a cross-functional team to study this and see how it will actually work. So basically, it would be a registration through the one-stop shop, at which time the police department, code, and the inspections office will be notified of the registration requirements. So we would actually physically go out to the location and perform an inspection in regards to the final draft, or actually the final ordinance that is passed, at which time they will be issued a certificate. It's going to be renewed every year. And if there is a violation in it, the ordinance calls for it to be issued a Class C violation in regards to it. Of course, like everything else, there will be an appeals process, and that's why we're gathering data and meeting with individuals. So our time frame, pretty much after our community meetings, we work on the edit and such and present it to City Hall. And we're looking at taking the ordinance to City Council in early November.
Okay, well, that's and I think we actually have another question that's coming up, and that's going to be related to what is the time that people have to, as far as and I apologize, lost a little bit of my train of thought there. But the question is when people do register the businesses, what is the time frame usually?
Yeah. So basically, once the ordinance has been passed, and this is where the community and the business community comes in, because we also need to hear from them in regards to what it is or the time frame that they need for it. So whether the final edit includes a grace period, that will be based on the voice from the community and the businesses, and we've had that before. So when we come out here and speak to the groups and all, the purpose is to gather the input from everyone and take the suggestions. We've actually gone out to stores to look what's in place and how close some of them are. And some of them have some of these topics that we talked in place and are missing others, and vice versa. Ultimately, when the ordinance is passed, everyone will know what's specific and the actual start date on it.
And one of the questions too that I know we had was regarding the new stores. And so as far as is there something where the older stores are going to be given some type of grace period, or is there people that are going to be grandfathered in?
If it's a new store and it falls within the definition of a convenience store that sells gasoline or fuel, it'll be under this. Now, the convenience store ordinance, crime prevention, is not going to be overlapping the other ones. It's specific on the definitions to just this ordinance. So whether there's going to be the grandfather clause, actually, if they fall under that definition and the start date is picked and there's no requests from our customers or citizens in regards to grace periods, then at that time we'll know the exact start date for everyone on it.
Well, no, that's good information. And Commander, just one last thing. Is there anything you'd like to add regarding this ordinance there for the residents there living in your area?
No, again, I think an ordinance like this is overdue. The safety of everybody is at stake here. And again, safety of our customers, safety of our citizens, our juveniles, and our employees. So I think it's something that is going to help everybody involved, and it's a good thing.
All right. Well, Commander, thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us. Chief, again, thank you for joining us and explaining a lot of these interesting topics of the ordinance. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the presentation for today. We'd like to thank those viewers that we do have listening. And again, just as a reminder, if you do have a question, you can always send us an email, askpd@elpasotexas.gov. Remember, tomorrow at the same time, we're going to be meeting with those residents and businesses at the West Side Regional Command. Meeting will be virtually here, and we hope to see some of you, and definitely share with your friends and let us know about this meeting. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.